Hello, everyone, and welcome back inside the War Room alongside Chris Schroyer. I'm Shrikar Rajendran. UFC Qatar is here, and we have got a full card to break down. I am very, very, very hyped for this one. Obviously, I'm going to be there in person. If you weren't on stream recently, you may not have known that, but I'm going to be in Qatar for this one. I'm very, very excited. I think this is the best fight night of the year, hands down. You got a lot of debuts that are happening. We got some prospects that me and Chris both are high on. Main event, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. That could shake up the lightweight division. Chris, overall, what do you think about this card?
I think it's going to be a good one, bro. I'm hyped for you that you're going to see this. A lot of debuts, which I'm very excited for. Even a return to the UFC that we'll get into with Kyoji Horiguchi. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very interesting card. And I think they did a good job of making one of the last fight nights of the year. I would consider a fairly stacked card for the time period. And after we've gotten so many good pay-per-views and a few lackluster fight nights, I think that the UFC really wanted to bolster this one, especially it being overseas in the Middle East. So I'm excited. And, there is some news that we'll have to share later on, a little fight change, but we'll get into that. And yeah,
Something we literally just found out about before hitting record.
So yeah, so you guys will find out. So stay tuned. It'll be a good card. I think that's all I have to say, and I'm excited for it. And it's early too, which is a little bit nice. So not gonna be early for Shrikar. It'll be local time for him. But
all right, before we jump in, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, turn the post notifications on so you don't miss anything we put out. Go ahead, follow the socials. All of them are down below. Early morning violence for you guys, not for me, but for you guys, early morning violence. I cannot wait. All right, let's kick things off with the heavyweights. Marek Bujlo versus Denzel Freeman. So this one's a battle of two newcomers, both making their UFC debuts. And honestly, it's a bit of a mystery fight. You've got Marek Bujlo, a Polish jiu-jitsu black belt, national champ, running through guys fast. But when you watch the tape, it's hard to know how real that dominance is. The opponents look like they'd rather be anywhere else. It's like he's fighting dudes who kind of like are literally Uber drivers. He's fighting Uber drivers. Then you've got Denzel Freeman, former LFA heavyweight champ, short notice call up, ex-Marine, wrestling base, legit athlete. He's fought actual competition. Bujlo looks slick on paper, submissions, ground control, big frame, but we haven't seen him deal with anyone who can stuff a takedown or hit him back. Freeman's been in there with real guys, and he's got both the composure and the athleticism to make this ugly for Bujlo. I'm taking Freeman. I think his wrestling holds up. He's got pop in his hands. If he stops that first takedown and lands clean, we could see Bujlo crumble. So I'm going to go Freeman by knockout. I'm going USA on this one.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. I think you put it perfectly. I'm going Denzel Freeman by knockout in the first round. I think this ends quickly. Bujlo, like you said, is a wrestler by trade. His strength of schedule, strength of competition, not very good in my opinion. And Freeman, as you just mentioned, LFA champion, gets the call up to make a big statement in this heavyweight division that we constantly say is, not the strongest in the UFC. They're always looking to bolster it. And yeah, I think he has the striking advantage. Obviously, Bujlo has the grappling advantage, but when I watched a few of Bujlo's fights, it just doesn't seem like he wants to strike at all. I think he feels very uncomfortable on the feet. He'd rather take it down to the ground and kind of just lay on you for 15 minutes, maybe, look for a submission or two, but he doesn't seem very content to keep it standing. And one thing I always like to say is every fight starts on the feet. So if Freeman is able to stuff that early takedown, I think he'll weather the storm and get him out of there quickly. Well, we're going to see some real power from Denzel Freeman. So red, white, and blue to kick off the prelims in Qatar.
No disagreements here. Both of us going Denzel Freeman on this one to kick off the card. All right, next one. Nurullo Aliev versus Shem. This one's interesting because you've got a Dagestani grinder versus a flashy UK jiu-jitsu guy making his debut. Chris, who are you siding with here?
Oh, this is a little bit of a tough one. I really like what I see from Aliev. Nurullo that is, and he's a very good wrestler, very dominant, massive control time. He does look for submissions. He looks for ground and pound. He is not content with just, riding it out for 15 minutes. He is a guy that's going to put pressure on you and try and break you any way that he can. And then I look at Shamrock, honestly, a pretty highly touted signing by the UFC. And it's interesting to see this as the second fight on the card. And I think it should be a little bit higher up, but we'll get into the card placement, the match placement on this card, because a few of the fights have been shuffled around. I think the UFC is starting to know that. I think this will stay as the second fight on the card, though. Shamrock, a very good grappler. Do not get me wrong. Jiu-jitsu guy. When he's on the feet, he's a solid striker. He loves teep kicks, loves those teep kicks. And I think when you look at this, it's more of a wrestler versus a guy who likes to grapple. And in those type of exchanges, yes, I think the wrestler could be subject to, a submission or getting finished in a way that he might not be used to if he slips up. And I really want to take Shamrock, but it's so funny. This fight kind of reminds me of the Tafik Musayev fight was it Baku? I think that was in Baku.
Yeah.
And I did pick Tafik in that fight, and I think Shamrock does have, a path to victory here. But I think Aliev is just too dominant, man. He is so good when he gets control. I've even seen a few people say he's kind of like Khabib, which is a very...
They call him a mini Khabib.
Yeah, like that's a very highly touted comparison, a very, a great fighter in Khabib, one of the best to ever do it, one of the best wrestlers that we have ever seen in MMA and just wrestling in general. But yeah, I mean, I think the pressure is just going to be a little too much. I think he'll be able to keep it on the feet and then take him down, and he's going to have his way with Shamrock, sadly. So I'm going to go by Aliev by decision. I think Shamrock is good enough to last the 15 minutes, but I also would not be surprised if Aliev is able to lock up a submission or just start wailing away on the ground.
Yeah, Aliev, he's undefeated, solid wrestling base, big pressure, but he hasn't exactly looked amazing in the UFC so far. His fight against Joe Solecki was kind of mid. Lots of control time, not much damage. He even got reversed late in that fight. Shamrock's got the ground skills to make this fun, but I just don't think he has the wrestling to dictate where the fight goes. If he can't get on top, he's probably spending most of the fight on his back, trying to work submissions while Aliev racks up control time, So I like Shamrock's confidence. I like the flair. But against this kind of smothering Dagestani style, I think he's going to get frustrated. It might not be the prettiest fight, but I see Nurullo Aliev winning a grinding decision. He'll do just enough. Top control, short shots, pressure along the fence. I think he'll take it home 30-27. Both of us in agreement on Nurullo Aliev, although it would be fun to pick Shamrock, and he definitely is the more fun fighter in this case. Got to stick with our guns and go with the grit and grind guy. Speaking of grit and grind, moving on to the next fight, we got Ryan Loder taking on Ismail Naurdiev, and honestly, this one's kind of flying under the radar. I think this is a very fascinating stylistic clash. You look at Ryan Loder, he's that strong, grinding wrestler, Ultimate Fighter winner, big top control guy, kind of just wants to drag you down and keep you there. His striking's fine, not great, but if he gets on top, I think his ground and pound is definitely heavy. He can land some heavy shots on top. He is a problem once he settles in. Then you've got Naurdiev, super athletic, a flashy striker, came up at welterweight, moves well, throws crisp kicks, but the problem with him has always been the same. He can be bullied by a good grappler. He is strong early. He doesn't always handle pressure well. He fades in the third round. Loder's got to get through that early storm, avoid getting clipped on the feet. And once he does, I think he takes over. He is the better wrestler. He's physically stronger from top position. I think he can absolutely control Naurdiev. So give me Ryan Loder by decision. I believe he is the underdog in this fight. I think I'll take him by decision, maybe even a ground and pound finish if he starts cooking on top. I think he proves people wrong here, and I think he gets a big bounce back win. Give me Ryan Loder.
Yeah, no, I think you did put that in a very good context, because Loder, when you see a wrestler versus striker, I mean, anyone who watches MMA, you probably should tend to lean towards the wrestling, because that is the best base in MMA, in my honest opinion. Not everyone feels that way, but I feel like those fighters have the most success. And then you have Naurdiev, who is a very good striker. And he probably would have beat Jun Young Park if he did not land brutal illegal blows while he was down. He got points taken away from that, and then that kind of killed the momentum for him, and Jun Young Park came back and won by decision. I don't know. I feel like Loder is a good grappler, but he tends to panic a little bit when someone is coming at him with full force. And I think that's what Naurdiev is going to do. So I'm actually going to take Naurdiev by knockout. I think that he will crack Loder eventually. And I think you're right, Trikar. He is definitely the better grappler, and he does have all the tools to control him. But in this fight, I feel like it's going to be, I mean, in every fight, I feel like it's very hard to wrestle when you're moving backwards. And Naurdiev is someone who wants to keep you on the back foot. He wants to push that pace. And if Loder starts panicking and starts panic grappling, which isn't really, the best to do because it leaves you susceptible to so many things, I think that Naurdiev might be able to capitalize on those opportunities and ultimately find the shot. I think I'm going to have to go Ismail Naurdiev by knockout. I'm going to say the second round. I think Loder's good enough to keep it close in the beginning, even take it to decision. But I think Naurdiev's going to learn from his last fight, his brutal mistakes that could have helped him beat a very good fighter in Jun Young Park, someone who's also a good grappler and just tough as nails. And I really think that those illegal blows kind of killed his momentum and even killed the scorecard too, because I believe he got, I think it was 2 points. I think he got 2 points taken. He was warned, and then what was it? Was it a knee? Might have been a knee on the ground. Regardless, I think he's going to bounce back and show everyone that he is the fighter that, we should think he is. But it should be a good scrap. Very close odds too. I believe Loder's sitting at like plus 110. So that should tell you something in terms of context of betting.
Who has the sharp money?
Ooh. I'm putting Shrikar on to the sharp money. Let's see. Let me look at my little analysis tool. Okay. We're going to UFC search. As of right now, and this is definitely subject to change. Wow, Loder has a lot of money on him. 60% of the bets, 80% of the handle. And Naurdiev is the favorite as of right now. I probably am going to expect this line to flip by fight night.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But here is our first division of the night, our first glimmer of parity. Chris going Naurdiev. I'm going Ryan Loder. Let's move on here. Bekzat Almakhan versus Alexandre Topuria. Man, I love this fight. Two bright prospects. Both guys super skilled, both dangerous. Chris, who you got here? It's a tough one.
This is going to be a tough one. You have a wrestler. You have I guess a freestyle wrestler in Almakhan, also a very solid striker. And then you have one of the best UFC fighters of all time's brother, Alexandre Topuria, who is the older brother to Ilia Topuria. And they have a Greco-Roman base. So we're going to see a little bit of a different style clash in wrestling. And there are a few styles of wrestling, like freestyle, folk style, which is like more of the American form of wrestling, and Greco-Roman, which is more of just a body lock throw type of wrestling. And that is John Jones's base. And if you notice, it's not a takedown type of wrestling. It's more of a, clasp the hands, throws. It's almost like a judo, if you want to put it that way. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this compares. And you mentioned it that this is a very good fight between two up and coming prospects. And Topuria is definitely the older fighter in this. And I was having some trouble because this line is very close. It's pretty much a coin flip as of right now. Topuria was the underdog. He has gotten some money on him to make it, I think he's like minus 102, minus 105. And I think those odds are correct. And I just like Bekzat, man. I think that he's a very good pressure fighter. And Topuria, yes, he's good. But I just don't know what his ceiling is as of right now. I don't know if he's going to be able to really land those strikes that are going to have Bekzat, thinking twice about shooting, or even just rushing in. So right now I'm going to take Bekzat Almakhan by decision. I think Topuria is good, don't get me wrong, but it's so hard not to compare him to his brother, and that has nothing to do with this fight. But one thing I've noticed is he doesn't really have those, fast twitch hands or the fast twitch movements that Ilia possesses, and sometimes that gets him into a little bit of trouble. He is 6-1, and he deserves all the credit in the world because he is a good fighter. Do not get me wrong. I just think Bekzat's going to put a little bit of pressure on him, and I think freestyle wrestling is going to take over the Greco-Roman style in this fight, and I could be completely wrong. The odds we'll see as it gets closer to the fight because we are a little bit further out as of right now. But yeah, I'm gonna side with Bekzat Almakhan, and I think a lot of people are gonna be betting Topuria because of the name. So it might be interesting to see how that line flips. But yeah, give me Almakhan by decision.
Yeah, Bekzat's striking is beautiful. Fast hands, slick kickboxing, huge knockout power. He just starched Brad Katana and dropped Umar Nurmagomedov early in their fight. I mean, the guy's a killer. But Alexandre Topuria, as we mentioned, Ilia's brother, he's got that same tight boxing, that same forward pressure. He mixes in his wrestling way better than people realize. He's compact, technically sound. Fight. I kind of disagree where you say, like, I guess the hooks aren't as tight and his punches may not be as sharp, but I definitely think Alexandre fights like a miniature version of Ilia. Like, I think the counters are sharp. I think he has heavy hooks. I think he has solid top control. So if Bekzat keeps this a clean kickboxing match, he can absolutely win. I definitely agree there. But if Alexandre starts chaining in takedowns and making it a mixed martial arts fight, I think it slows Bekzat's offense down. Both are young. Both are legit, for sure. But I'm going to go with Alexandre Topuria by decision. I think his wrestling makes the difference. He'll have those moments in the pocket where he lands the cleaner combos. His boxing will definitely show. I think this is a super high-level fight. Could easily be fight of the night, in my opinion. I think this is an absolute amazing fight on the prelims. But give me Topuria here, man. I think the odds are definitely that close for a reason. I believe Topuria was an underdog a few days ago while it was still close. I believe Topuria was like plus 100-something.
Yeah.
Now it's essentially more or less a pick'em. So give me Topuria here. That's where we're going to differ, but I trust him to get it done. I just feel like the wrestling is going to make the big difference here.
He is now the favorite with a lot of money.
He's the favorite. Okay. I guess that bodes well for me.
Yeah, it is. He has a lot of bets and money on him. So I guess I'm fading the public.
Yeah, we'll see if it works out, though.
We'll say that. But yeah, you're right. I think this should be in contention for fight of the night. It's going to be a very interesting stylistic fight and see who prevails.
All right, next one up.
Oh,
Abdul-Rakhman Yakhyaev taking on Rafael Cerqueira, and this honestly feels like one-way traffic. Yakhyaev is a monster, powerful striker, legit grappler. When he gets on top, he's mean with the ground and pound. The guy just carries, like, the guy is just a finisher, man. He's just a finisher. When he hurts you, he's not letting you off the hook. Cerqueira, I respect him. He's got some decent kicks. He's long. He'll throw volume early, but I think his chin is a red flag. He has been knocked out badly a couple of times. And when he gets hit clean, it's lights out. I just don't see how he survives the pressure of Yakhyaev, whether it's a big right hand or a takedown leading to some brutal ground and pound. I think the gap in physicality is huge here. So I think Abdul-Rakhman Yakhyaev finishes him early, probably inside 2 rounds. It's just a different level of power and control. So give me the guy making his debut off Contender Series, Abdul-Rakhman Yakhyaev.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Yakhyaev is going to win by knockout in the first round. And Cerqueira, tough as nails, got to give him credit. But I think Yakhyaev is going to be the hammer in this fight. He is going to put the pressure on. And we've seen Cerqueira struggle when pressure fighters really put him on the back foot. And you do not want to be on the back foot against Abdul-Rakhman Yakhyaev. He is so good, man. I'm very high on him. I had him in the top 5, I believe, I think top 3 of my power rankings for the Dana White Contender Series Season 9. You guys should go check out our end of season recap for that. We did a live stream. If you didn't really get to watch it, we talked about everyone who came across on season 9, and this guy is one of the very talented fighters who earned a contract. So,
and crazy enough, he's not even in my top 20 or honorable mentions.
I think he's good, man. I think he's very good. So this is definitely a, not a prove it fight. This is, in my opinion, a layup. So don't smoke the layup, Yakhyaev. He's gonna win it by round 1 knockout, and I think it's gonna be pretty brutal.
Now, this next one's interesting. Veteran versus surging prospect Alex Perez taking on Asu Almabayev. This was formerly on the main card, but now it has been moved down to the prelims, and not just the featured prelims, the prelims. So I think it's interesting that they decided to move this one down. I think it's a good fight. Chris, who do you think is going to come out on top?
Yeah, Alex Perez, grizzled vet. He's been in the UFC for quite some time now. Suffered some losses to very good competition. He does have I like to call it strength of schedule, almost like it's football. And Almabayev, we've seen him in trouble before, but his last fight in Saudi Arabia against Jose Ochoa really impressed me. And Ochoa is a fighter that I hold in very high contention to be one of the better fighters in this flyweight division. So for me, it comes down to who's going to be able to assert their dominance more. And I just mentioned the strength of schedule for Alex Perez. He's had a lot of canceled fights in the past couple of years, but he is 1-4 in his last couple of fights. But when you look at the guys he lost to, Figueiredo, Pantoja, Muhammad Yakhyaev, Tatsuro Taira, he did beat Mateus Nicolau by knockout. But in my opinion, like I just mentioned in the Jose Ochoa fight, what I saw from Asu Almabayev is someone who is just going to go forward no matter what. And I think that's really going to carry him over the edge here. I'm going to take Asu Almabayev by decision. I think Perez is good enough to really give him a little bit of trouble and not make it easy on him. But Almabayev, I mean, he came into the UFC and he was highly touted, and he's someone that, was kind of maybe expected to be in the top 7 of flyweight before he got knocked out by Manel Kape, who also is a very good fighter and someone who is looking for that flyweight contention. So yeah, I really liked what I've seen from Asu Almabayev recently, bouncing back nicely from that Kape knockout. And I think, he's fighting close to home. I think that always, does well. We have our conversations about the OVs, the OV fighters, and now in Qatar, it's the EVs, the EVs. There's a lot of EVs on this card.
But how do we know that though? Because this is the first event in Qatar.
That is true. I don't know. You know what? I'm setting my own trend. The EVs, they're all taking it. I like
it, guys.
Yeah, I need to do a little bit of research and see how the EVs have done in the Middle East. I'm sure the record is definitely positive by at least 60%. So yeah, I'm going to take Asu in this fight. I'm going to take him by decision.
Perez is the proven guy, fought Pantoja, fought Figgy, fought the best in the division. When he's healthy, he's got sharp boxing, nasty leg kicks, good scrambles. The problem is he's barely been healthy. He's coming off major knee issues, multiple cancellations, over a year away from the octagon. And honestly, that's probably why they demoted this to the prelims. They don't want to risk a main card fight, being ruined by Alex Perez. But Almabayev is the complete opposite. As you mentioned, Chris, super active, constantly improving, pressure wrestler from Kazakhstan. He grinds, he chains takedowns, he is relentless. I think Perez will have some success early, the hands, the low kicks, the experience, but over time, that wrestling pressure from Asu is going to wear on him. You can't be off for a year plus, have knee injuries, then deal with the guy who never stops shooting, So I've got Asu Almabayev by decision. I think he grinds Perez down, mixes in control time, wins the later rounds. I think Perez could take that first round, but I think Asu will take a 29-28 at the end of the day. Perez will make it competitive, but the layoff and the injuries catch up. So give me Asu Almabayev. Now, if you're a live bettor, I would definitely eye this fight. If Perez is winning that first round, I would probably sneak in a live bet on Almabayev. I don't know where the odds are standing right now.
The
But
odds are for this fight, let's see. Asu Almabayev is minus 205. Yeah, so if he loses that first round, he will be plus money.
he's going to be he'll probably be plus like 170, something like that. So I would definitely eye that if you're into live betting. I typically don't, but if you're into that, I would definitely look at that as a potential
I
prop.
agree because I did the exact same thing with Erin Blanchfield last Saturday. She lost the first round to Tracy Cortez. She was around plus 120. I said, all right, Erin's going to bounce back and really make this a scrappy fight. And to my luck, it did happen. But yeah, live betting fights are always tricky because, sometimes the line is misplaced. But yeah, you always look for that first round. I would say never really live bet after the first round because even in the second round, someone has momentum. You really never know what's going to happen. It's kind of just a big shot. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I would eye this fight in the first round.
Next up, Saeed Isakhmaev, Habib's teammate, part of Team Nurmagomedov, versus the veteran Nicholas Dalby. Isakhmaev hasn't fought in a while, almost 3 years. But he's been around that elite camp, training with Islam and the crew. You can see it in his game. Heavy grappling, strong pressure, slick transitions. Dalby's always been that gritty, relentless striker. Tons of volume, great cardio, always trying to make it a dogfight. That's his big goal. But I think this is a brutal stylistic matchup for him. Saeed's wrestling is elite. When he's on top, he is smothering. So I think Dalby might have moments early, especially with his pace and his body kicks. But I don't see him winning these prolonged exchanges on the ground. Isakhmaev's too sharp, too technical. I think he's too composed. So give me Saeed Isakhmaev by dominant decision. I think this will easily be a 30-27, possibly a 10-8 round as well. I think maybe even a submission threat will be in there. Dalby is tough as nails, but I think he gets grounded and controlled for most of this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually going to take Isakhmaev by finish. I'm not sure how he's going to do it. I think Dalby's going to spend some time on his back. He's going to be very tired by the end of this fight, I'll put it that way. And Isakhmaev, you can't even sleep on the striking, man. He is very crisp. He throws with very good power, and he's very calm. He doesn't really, fluster when things aren't going his way, in my opinion. And with that and him having all the tools at his dispense, I think it's going to prove very hard for Nicholas Dalby to find anything that he can really latch onto. Someone who's just a very good kickboxer, tough as nails. But, when that cardio fades, which I know it will, it's going to fade. He's going to have some trouble really taking it to Isakhmaev. And this is a very good fight for Isakhmaev. So, and Nicholas Dalby is, I'm not going to say a gatekeeper, not a gatekeeper, but he's a solid vet. Like, I don't think he's terrible. He did just get brutally knocked out by Randy Brown. So yeah, I mean, if he can really dominate Nicholas Dalby, I think that's going to boost his stock a lot. And someone I'm already very high on. I'm excited to see where he goes after this. I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for Isakhmaev. And if Dalby pulls it out, then I guess I was very wrong.
We'll see what happens, but let's go to our featured prelim now. Luke Riley versus Bogdan Grad. Oh my days, Luke Riley. Luke Riley hype is huge. But I'm picking Bogdan Grad.
No.
Grad is a marauder, as Joe Rogan would like to say. Shiny-headed tank. He's going to push pace, shoot takedowns. I think he's just going to smother Riley. The one thing I noticed from him during his Cage Warriors run, his takedown defense is, I don't know. And the thing is, even if Riley hits Grad with a really good shot, I think Grad has the ability to get rocked, but he doesn't gas. So I'm going to go Bogdan Grad. I think this will be a 29-28 decision. I think it's going to be a very fun fight. Definitely a contender for fight of the night. I hate this because I did this with Axel Sola and Reese McKee. I faded the prospect. I loved Axel Sola coming in, but I was like, okay, how is he going to stand against a UFC guy who can push a different type of pace and a different type of pressure on you? I'm doing the same thing with Luke Riley. Guys, I love Luke Riley. I'm gonna go Bogdangrad.
Not a bad pick. I love Luke Riley, and I think I'm going to take him. I love Cage Warriors. I think the Cage Warriors hype is real. They have put some amazing prospects, now title contenders in the UFC. Obviously, last Cage Warriors guy to come over, Harry Hardwick, did not fare too well. Cowboy Fernandez absolutely destroyed his legs to the point of no return. Grad, like you said, he's a marauder. He is tough as nails, and he pushes a pace that is very hard to keep up with for most other fighters. He does have a solid record. He's 15-3. He has had solid fights in the UFC as well. Good wrestling base, and he has power. He has a death touch. If he catches you with an overhand, it might be clips for his opponent. But Luke Riley, from what I've seen with him in Cage Warriors, he's undefeated, which, is a little bit, it's not the best because obviously, I don't know. Sometimes I like to see a loss on these guys' records because it means that they've been through adversity before. Luke Riley, he has faced adversity, but not to the level of, getting not dominated, borderline dominated in a fight and finding a way through, pulling it out of the fire, as Leon Edwards' corner would say. But I think Luke Riley is a very good anti-grappler. I've seen that he has good takedown defense. He is able to defend takedowns, get up, and then knock out his opponent. I don't really know if he's going to knock out Bogdangrad, but I think he's really going to put some pressure on him on the feet. I'm going to take Luke Riley by decision. Would not be surprised if he does get the knockout. But yeah, this is going to be a very fun fight. It's going to be very interesting to see how Luke Riley fares in his UFC debut. But yeah, I'm very excited for this fight. I'm excited about the hype behind Luke Riley, someone who could really make some noise in this featherweight division. But yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty excited. So hopefully the guy gets it done. But yeah, and you could tell he's new because he does not have a cutout yet.
No picture, but we'll go to our main card now. If you're still with us, make sure you like, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, share the video if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Let's get right to our main card picks. Now, this was a new addition to the main card. Obviously, I mentioned before, also Almabayev and Alex Perez got moved down to the prelims, and this fight is taking its spot. Kyoji Horiguchi versus Tagir Ulanbekov. Love Kyoji. Pioneer, legend. I don't think he's going to win this fight. I got to go Tagir Ulanbekov. The way that Ulanbekov is built, it's like a mutant. He's like he's tall, he's rangy, he's fast. Horiguchi, he's still good everywhere, but he's older, chin a little cracked. He can absolutely be taken down. Something about him losing to Patchy Mix is like setting me off the wrong way. Even though that fight was, a few years ago. Tagir will lose some positions, win others, get back up, jab him from long range, win minutes. I'm going to go Tagir Ulanbekov, and I think he wins a 29-28 decision. It'll be another close fight, another possible contender for fight of the night. What kind of steers me away from the Tagir pick, though, is that he has been playing with fire a lot recently. And that kind of scares me going up against a guy that's, as dangerous as a Kyoji Horiguchi. But I think I'm trusting Tagir a little bit more to get it done. I think he'll lock in. Not going to pick against an Av in Qatar, I guess. We're sticking with that trend. So, yeah, give me Tagir.
Guess what? I'm picking against an Av. Give me Kyoji Horiguchi. He's a lot older. He might be a little slower. And this is probably not going to be a great pick. But I trust what I've seen from Kyoji Horiguchi. And you mentioned it, exactly what I was going to say. Tagir has been playing with fire a little bit too much. Just a little bit. And I think that Kyoji Horiguchi is not someone that you want to play with fire in front of. He's a huge veteran in the sport of MMA. Look at the record, 34-5, 1 no contest. I think that he might pull out some vet tricks against Tagir Ulanbekov, someone who, I feel like just he needs to lock in a little bit more. Also, what kind of put me off is him popping against Charles Johnson, that fight getting overturned. So I don't know. I feel like maybe he might have a little bit of a fall from grace. Tagir, obviously not a bad pick at all. He is a Russian wrestler. Very hard to pick against those guys. Not a super confident pick on my side. I will tell you guys that. Would not be surprised if I switch this pick. But as of right now, I think the Kyoji Horiguchi back to the UFC hype is real. And yeah, he has lost to who'd you just mention, Shrikar? You just said it. Patchy Mix. He did lose to Patchy Mix.
That was a while ago.
It was a while ago, and you look at his strength of schedule. Obviously, fighting in Risen and won is not the UFC, but he has fought very good comp. He lost to Kai Asakura, then beat Kai Asakura, someone else who came into the UFC with an immense hype train. He lost to Sergio Pettis, avenged his loss last year. This guy has fought very good competition in the UFC. I mean, obviously it's hard to compare the UFC now to the UFC 10 years ago, but he was 10-1 and his only loss was to Demetrius Johnson. So I think I'm going to stick with the vet. He's almost like an ultimate vet at this point. He's 35. I think he has solid takedown defense. Obviously against a Russian wrestler, that might not mean too much. But yeah, I like the value in him. I'm not going to lie. I think that's a reason I'm also taking this. I think it's going to be a lot closer than the odds suggest. But yeah, give me Kyoji Horiguchi to return to the UFC in a big way.
Yeah, we'll see. And if he gets it done, then he's suddenly a ranked flyweight, and things get very, very interesting when we think about a matchup between Pantoja and Kyoji Horiguchi, the legend. Now, let's move on to what was supposed to be Sergey Spivak versus Shamil Gaziev. If you have been watching since the beginning of the episode, we told you there'd be some big news that we found about just before recording. Sergey Spivak is out of this fight. And now stepping in on 3 days' notice is none other than Salsa Boy Waldo Cortes-Acosta. So now our new fight we'll be making predictions for is Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Shamil Gaziev. Chris, I'm going to go to you first. Who do you think gets it done? Waldo on short notice, or are we... Because if it was Gaziev Spivak, I believe we both were going Shamil. Yes. But does that change anything for you?
It's very hard to pick a guy on 3 days' notice. Especially a guy who pretty much got knocked out in his last fight, but got bailed out by an eye poke and then came back and knocked out Ante Delia. I don't know, man. I think the hype around Waldo Cortes-Acosta is real. I think I'm going to have to side with him. I would love to see the odds when this comes out. I think he's definitely probably going to be around plus 150, in my opinion, just because of the super, super, super short notice and also him having to travel all the way to Qatar from Phoenix, Arizona. But yeah, Gaziev is still the real deal. Do not get me wrong. He can have his way with Waldo on the floor. The one thing, though, is I just think Waldo's very good at distance control. And he is very powerful, too. If he connects, he's going to hurt you. But Gaziev, he's the total package. Do not get me wrong. He has hands, and he's a very solid wrestler in this heavyweight division. And, it's sometimes a little hard when these big boys get on top, and you have to kind of bump and scoot and get out from bottom guard. But yeah, I'm really also not sure why Waldo is taking this fight. I feel like he really doesn't have too much to gain from this. Maybe just getting in the good graces of the UFC, but he's already, a highly touted heavyweight, who is, has been surging. So yeah, I'm going to take Waldo. I've been riding him into the ground, but I have yet to lose on him except for the Spivak fight. Not Spivak, Sergey Pavlovich fight, excuse me. So yeah, give me Salsa Boy to get this done on super short notice.
Yeah, Gaziev, obviously powerful hands, fast, sharp on the feet. Definitely can stuff takedowns. And if Waldo goes for it, he'll make Waldo pay for that. Waldo needs to close distance and make it ugly. If this is a pure striking match, I think he can be had. Man. So follow our socials because we put our picks up on there. Our final picks go on the socials. If you want our full breakdowns, this is where you are to watch the breakdowns. I'm also going to lean Waldo. I think this is one that could definitely flip because think about it, I was going to pick Gaziev against Spivak as it was. Waldo beat Spivak. So it makes it a little bit tougher, but then there's also the short notice aspect, and you got to factor in the fact that he's going from wherever he is to Qatar, which is time zone difference. Making a short notice fight in this type of climate is very difficult.
I agree.
And then also we remember the eye poke from the Ante Delia fight. Has he recovered fully from the eye poke? We don't know. So give me Waldo tentatively. I think this is one that could definitely change. Obviously, I want to see how both guys are in the scales, and it's heavyweight. I mean, how much could it really matter? But I want to see both these guys on the scales. I want to see a face-off first, and then maybe I'll get a better sense of it. But right now, I'll ride the hot hand. I'll go with Waldo, but definitely one that could flip around for me. This was a tough one to call, though. I think this is a much better matchup than Gaziev and Spivak.
Yes,
I think it'll be more interesting, especially considering the stakes that are now at hand. If Waldo loses to Shamil Gaziev is getting a big push. Yeah, like this could definitely change some things. So give me Shamil Gaziev. I think he'll end up getting it done.
Oh, wait, you mean Waldo? Are you taking Waldo or no?
Yeah, Waldo. Sorry, Waldo. See, I had the pick in my mind. I was going Gaziev over Spivak, but now as we're going Waldo. But
all right, yo,
socials and we'll see what happens.
Become an odds maker. What would you set the line at for Gaziev versus Waldo?
I think this should be pick'em. I think this should definitely be a pick'em. I don't, because I listed for all the reasons I mentioned before. Obviously, Waldo is the better opponent than Spivak. Right. What were the odds on Gaziev Spivak as it was? Just scroll down a little because the UFC site probably has it.
Okay, yeah, let's see. All right,
they don't. I believe Gaziev was the favorite, but not by much.
Gaziev is minus 142 as the line stands right now before it gets removed.
Okay. So if we bring in Waldo into the equation, he is the better opponent than Spivak. He beat Spivak. Is he going to be more willing to go to the ground? No. So for that reason, that does favor Gaziev slightly. So while we do bring Waldo up in regards to where Spivak's odds were, I think Gaziev and Waldo will be a pick'em when you consider the short notice, or I think Gaziev will remain the favorite. I don't think Waldo is going to be a favorite. I'll say that. Yeah. Either pick'em or Gaziev is the favorite. If Gaziev is an underdog, I think that's good money. I think that's really good money if Gaziev is plus money. But
I agree.
It is heavyweight MMA. You never know. It's a tough one to make odds for, but in my opinion, probably should be a pick'em. I don't know if you had any differing thoughts on that.
I was gonna say Waldo. Actually, now that you're saying that, I'd probably reverse my pick. I was gonna say Waldo around probably like plus 140, plus 150, just because of the short notice aspect of this.
That's fair.
So also we mentioned striker versus very good grappler. But yeah, I mean Waldo is better than Spivak. So you never know. This line will probably be out tomorrow. So we'll see. We will see. I think it's going to be a good fight, though, in my opinion.
Definitely a ballsy move from Waldo Cortes-Acosta. But the guy's shown he's got balls. We'll see if he puts him on the line once again. Now, this next one, man, this is a weird fight. Jack Hermansson dropping down to welterweight at 37 years old to fight Muktabek Orolbai, a natural 170er who's 10 years younger. Jack's always been that tricky middleweight, long-range kickboxer, strong grappler, but cutting 15 more pounds at this stage of his career, that's risky business. He was already lean at 185, and now he's got to somehow shrink even further. Orolbai's been thriving, former lightweight who couldn't quite make 155, now comfortable at 170. His grappling is nasty. He's got that chain wrestling, Dagestani-style pressure, but he's also got pop in his hands. Look, I think the size cut kills Hermansson here. He'll probably make the weight, but at what cost? I think he looks flat, slower, gets out-grappled by the younger, fresher guy. So I'm picking Muktabek Orolbai, and I think he dominates, possibly even gets a submission. I think this is the fight that makes people realize Jack should have stayed at middleweight. I don't know why he's making this cut. But give me Orolbai, and I'll take Orolbai by submission.
I agree. Shrikar, do you remember the trend that we mentioned, Sam and I mentioned during our UFC 317 prediction video.
Win-loss, win-loss.
Yes, Hermansson has won one and then dropped the next and continued that cycle for the past 6 years. He got brutally knocked out by RoboCop. And if we're following trends, he should win this fight. I don't think he's going to win this fight. I'm kind of all out on Jack Hermansson right now. I think he's a little bit a step behind now, and him making a cut to welterweight is, in my opinion, a very, very interesting move. I'm not quite sure as to why he's doing this, especially fighting against someone who is a pure killer and absolute granite chin fighter in Muktabek Orolbai. He is an immense pressure grappler. Once he gets you down, there's very little chances that you're getting back up. And he has power too. He can knock you out. He can pretty much have his way with you if you're not able to combat what he's throwing at you. Yeah, I'm going to go Orolbai by submission. Jack is a good BJJ grappler as well. I believe he's a black belt too. And he does have submission wins on his victory. I just think that this type of pressure that's going to be thrown at him is going to be a little too much. He's going to crack eventually. I'm going to say round 2 submission. I think that Jack's going to be able to last in the beginning, and he's going to wither away due to the pace that Orolbai is going to push and just the sheer power that is going to be standing across from Jack Hermansson. So, yeah, I'm not sure as to this decision. Maybe we'll find out in a fighter interview as to why he did this. But yeah, like you said, Trikar, he was already lean at 185. Now he has to really push his body at such an, inopportune age to do this. I think Orolbai, who is sitting comfortable at welterweight, like you said, is going to take it. And I think it might be a little bit too easy for him.
The situation almost reminds me of one of our main event fighters, Dan Hooker, cutting to 145 to fight Arnold Allen in London. And we were like, why are you cutting to 145? Yep. You were already, you're already making a big cut at 155. Right. There's just no point. I think this is more so the bigger grappling version of that, in that, why is Jack Hermansson doing this, But we'll see. If he proves us wrong, he proves us wrong. Let's go to our next fight on the main card. This is the
it's going to be fireworks.
Volkan Oezdemir versus Alonzo Menafield. And you said it, Chris. This one just screams violence. Who you got in this one?
I'm going to take Volkan Oezdemir. I'm going to take him by knockout. I love Menafield. Very, very good fighter. He has fought good competition before. He's, I wouldn't say fraud checked, but he's won some big fights as an underdog. The one most recently was Umar C back in Atlanta in May. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to take a value pick on Alonzo Menafield, be my guest. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Oezdemir, who has been, a little bit up and down, but he has shown very good glimpses of who he is as a fighter. Power for days, very crisp striker. If he starts landing on you and teeing off, good luck. So I think he's going to run Alonzo Menafield up against the fence, but Menafield might have the ability to, push him back and show him that it's not going to be able to be like a dirty boxing fight. You don't really want to get inside with Menafield. I mean, look at the guy. He is huge. He is massive. He has power as well. But I think Oezdemir, someone who's going to need this, he's going to need this win. So to at least, I would say, stay relevant in this light heavyweight division. He's been around for quite a minute, I believe around 7 years in the UFC. So yeah, I'm going to take Oezdemir here, and I think it's going to be by knockout. I would honestly bet this fight to not go the distance. I'm not sure what the odds are. I will check when Trikar is telling you guys his pick, but yeah, give me the Swiss hammer in Volkan Oezdemir.
Yeah, Volkan's been around forever. Former title challenger, super clean boxing, tight combos, great timing. Menafield's more of a wild power puncher, athletic, explosive, but technically he's all over the place. If Menafield doesn't catch Volkan in the first round, he's in trouble. Volkan's got the sharper hands, way more experience. He's not going to get flustered by someone swinging wild at him. I think Volkan picks him apart, counters the big shots, lands something heavy of his own. His boxing is levels above Menafield's. I'm going Volkan Oezdemir by knockout as well. I think he shuts Menafield's lights out mid-fight, and reminds everyone he has still got serious power at 205. So I think this is also a fairly straightforward pick for me. I will be going Volkan Oezdemir. I believe the odds are definitely going to be inflated on your fight to not go the distance prop, because this one is going to end in a knockout. It's just which side would you prefer in doing that?
Yes, I agree. Yeah, fight to not go the distance, actually minus 210. So if you're a person who likes to parlay, not terrible odds if you're going to throw it in a parlay. But yeah, fight to not start round 3 though is minus 130. I think that's also a good prop to look for. And Oezdemir by KO is plus 120. So from minus 225 to plus 120,
that's good.
I think that's a pretty good inflation on that line. So yeah, it'll be a scrap. Don't get me wrong. I think someone's going to be laying face first on the canvas after that.
We'll see. Now we're into the co-main. Belal Muhammad versus Ian Machado Garry.
Big 2 weeks for welterweight, man.
Yeah. Hey, if you watched our video on the whole rankings shakeup on welterweight and flyweight, go watch that, because we talked at length about what this fight means for the entire division. But we're not going to repeat ourselves. If you want to go watch that video, go watch that video. We're going to talk about the fight now. I got to be honest, this one's fascinating. Belal's cardio, pressure, wrestling are elite. The guy just doesn't stop moving forward. He breaks fighters down with volume, cage control, relentless pace. But Ian Garry is the exact kind of stylistic nightmare that gives Belal problems. He's tall, long, fights perfectly at range, has excellent defensive movement. He can pick you apart from the outside and frustrate you for 15 straight minutes. And that's the key. 15 minutes. This is a 3-rounder. If it were 5, maybe Belal's pace starts to overwhelm him in the championship rounds. But over 3, Garry just needs to control distance, land the cleaner strikes, keep Belal off balance. I think Garry does exactly that. His jab, his teeps, his counters, all tailor-made to stop pressure fighters. Belal will have moments, maybe even a takedown or 2, but Garry's length and footwork should neutralize most of it. I'm picking Ian Machado Garry by decision. I think he frustrates Belal, keeps him at range, like I said, wins the striking exchanges cleanly enough to take 2 of the 3 rounds. So give me Garry by 29-28 or 30-27. I think he'll get it done on the scorecards. Will it be enough for him to get a title shot? Me personally, I wouldn't say so. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I do think Garry will beat Belal and get the biggest win of his career to date.
Yeah, this is a very tough one. You have a wrestler by trade and a striker by trade. And like I mentioned before, you want to lean towards the wrestler. However, I think Ian Machado Garry has made tremendous strides in his grappling game. If this was a 5-round fight, I would definitely be picking Belal, in my opinion. I think Belal has 100% has the cardio. We know he has the cardio. We've seen it before. And obviously, we've also seen that his chin is made of steel. Like, this guy eats punches and is able to throw them back at you. Belal does have Canelo hands, as we have seen. And it's always funny to say that. And, you know, Belal gets a lot of hate for no reason, in my opinion. I feel like he doesn't really do too much to warrant the amount of hate that he gets, to even get booed in his home city, like he did in Chicago at 319. But yeah, I think Garry has just made so many good strides in his fight game. He's becoming a smarter fighter, and this is someone that I've always been high on. I mean, even the Shavkat fight, there's an argument that he could have won that fight. So, and we all have our thoughts about Shavkat. We know how Shrikar feels about Shavkat. I'm kind of starting to trend in the same direction. I think Shavkat's a very good fighter, and that was also a tough fight for Garry just because of the sheer size and mass that Shavkat presents. But, you know, like I said, every fight starts on the feet. If he's able to defend takedowns and not even have good wrestling, just good anti-grappling, and really just keep Belal at bay and keep him, you know, at range, which Ian Garry is just so good at, man. He is a clinical kickboxer with very good power, and he has all the tools at his disposal. I mean, high kicks, leg kicks, you know, straight punches. He's honestly, in my opinion, it's hard to say because I don't want to get hate for this. Let me guys know if you agree in the comments, please. I feel like he's just a bigger Conor McGregor when I watch him and I watch his striking. It's just so fluid. And obviously, I'm going to give Ian Garry the grappling advantage.
Because he's Irish? Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, also because he's Irish, but I don't know. It's just the striking is just so fluid, man. And when I watch him, it's just it's clinical. And I feel like when I watched Conor, that's how I felt as well. It was just in and out, picking shots. And also when he's given the opportunity, he can hit you with good power too. So yeah, I'm gonna have to side with Ian Garry on this one. I'm gonna take him by decision. Obviously, I don't see him finishing Belal. Belal's a very hard fighter to finish, especially in a 3-round fight, even a 5-round fight. And we saw that with Jack Della Maddalena, who landed crazy strikes on Belal, and he kind of just ate them. It's going to be a very interesting fight. Very good clash of styles. I think this is definitely a good match make by the UFC. Belal, after losing his title, I wouldn't say in limbo land, but he definitely needs to earn it again. And if he gets a win over Ian Garry, I mean, he's right back in the mix in what we're calling the best division in the UFC. And I don't think there's a question to it. But Ian Garry he's good, man. He's on a hype train right now. And like the Shavkat loss does not faze me at all. I really don't think that is going to do too much. If anything, it's going to boost his confidence. So, I mean, I think the odds are perfect too. Ian Garry is sitting right now, I believe, like minus 230. Let's see, it's minus 270. Wow. So I think that's pretty telling in my opinion. And obviously Belal is going to have a little bit of money on him because he is a good value pick. Don't get me wrong. Like Belal, if he's able to get hands on Ian Garry and make this a grappling match, he has the clear path to victory. But I think Ian Garry, like I said, the distance control is just a little bit too much for some fighters. And if Belal, excuse me, is going to do what he did against Jack, where he's going to try and stand and trade and kind of make it an ego fight instead of just sticking to what he's best at, that's not going to bode well for him, in my opinion, especially against a clinical striker like Ian Garry. So give me Ian Machado Garry to move up the rankings after Saturday. And yeah, like I said right before we started talking about this, huge 2 weeks for welterweight. Absolutely insane. So this division is getting pushed by the UFC, and I am all for it. There are some killers in this division.
Yeah, insanely stacked division. And I'll mention it again. You guys know the stakes. If Garry finishes Belal Muhammad or Belal Muhammad finishes Garry, that person's getting a title shot. I would think 100%. Maybe not Belal, but if Garry finishes Belal, he will get the shot. Let's move on to our main event. If you guys are still with us, make sure you like, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, share the video, do all that good stuff, get the algorithm on our side. Our main event for UFC Qatar, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Dan's on a nice little run right now. He's got that veteran swag back. I think I got my swagger back. He's got it back. He's healthy. He's confident. His striking is as sharp as ever. He's also just fun as hell to watch. But this is a nightmare matchup for him. Arman Tsarukyan is a freak athlete. The guy is built like a tank. And once he gets on top of you, it is over. It's over. I think Hooker is going to have to be perfect at keeping range and landing those knees up the middle. But Tsarukyan's pressure, pace, ground control, it's just on another level, man. Like I think he's going to mix it up, land takedowns, absolutely smother Hooker. Arman's got that crazy blend of power and composure. He'll throw flying knees. He'll work kicks. But the real story will be the ground game. I can see him dragging Hooker down, raining elbows, eventually getting the finish. I'm taking Arman Tsarukyan. I think he dominates, and I think he makes a statement. Whether it is ground and pound or a submission, I think he finishes Dan Hooker. He is going to finish this fight, and he is going to cement himself as the top lightweight contender. He is going to call out Ilia in the post-fight. Ilia will be in attendance because his brother is fighting on the card. It'll be a big moment for lightweight. Hooker is tough as hell, don't get me wrong. But this is Arman's moment. I truly believe that. I think this is Arman's moment to shine. I think he's going to do it. I think he'll make the most of the mic time. He'll stir something up. And Yeah, give me Tsarukyan by finish.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking Tsarukyan by finish, and I think the odds are great too. I think it's like minus 140 for him to finish this fight. I do not see this going all 5 rounds. And Hooker, the guy is absolutely tough as nails. Probably one of the toughest fighters the UFC has ever seen. And I'm gonna mention it again because I love this fight so much. It's a top 3 fight in my opinion. Him versus Dustin Poirier in the Apex was amazing. So, it was
Yep.
long ago too. It was during COVID, but the I love that fight so much, and I think that fight spoke so much to Dan Hooker's character. Poirier was throwing it on him. He could have quit in so many ways, and he had so many opportunities to just lay down and say, I'm hurt. He wasn't going to do that. I hold Arman in such high contention. I've been saying it. I think he's the rightful number 1 contender. I know the whole debacle with Makhachev at UFC 311. It was 311, right? Yeah, 311 in LA when he missed weight. It was classified as a back injury, and I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, he injured his back. It's like, no, he injured his back because he couldn't make weight, or just wasn't going to make weight. So they covered it up.
Make it.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, obviously this guy's gotten a lot of hate, but look, I think he's the best. I think he's the best opposition for Topuria to face. I think he's the most skilled opposition for Topuria to face. And I think him winning this fight in a big way, I think it's just going to add to the hype around him. And don't get me wrong, he's had some moments in the UFC, lost to Mateusz Gamrot after winning the first 2 rounds. He barely beat Charles. Honestly, could have even lost that fight depending on how you scored it. But this guy has so many tools at his disposal. He's amazing everywhere. And the striking is just so diverse. Like Shrikar said, knees up the middle, kicks, punches. This guy is the total package. He really is. And I think he's sitting at around minus 500, minus 550. In my honest opinion, I think that is a perfect line. I really think he's going to have his way with Dan Hooker. And I love Dan Hooker for taking this fight. Obviously, he has no reason not to because he beats Arman. He's right in the title picture. He might be the number 1 contender. So I think that this is going to be a clinic, in my opinion. Tsarukyan, he's going to dominate from bell to bell. And whenever that second bell is to end the fight, the world may never know. But I don't see this going more than 3 rounds, in my opinion. I think Arman's going to pose a big threat to Hooker everywhere and get it done. And you're right, call out Ilia. Ilia is going to be there. I think they're setting the stage perfectly. Honestly, kind of crazy. Maybe that's why they put Alexandre Topuria on this card, because they knew Ilia would be there. Arman main events, calls him out, get a little not a face off in the ring. Who knows? Maybe
that was my I don't think they're going to bring Ilia into the ring. Usually they do that with the champion and the challenger comes into the ring. But what I was going to ask you, obviously we have the whole rumblings about Paddy and Ilia fighting in January. If Arman finishes Dan Hooker, do you think they throw that fight out and just say, okay, we're doing Arman? Or do they stick with the course and do Paddy versus Ilia in January and just say, okay, Arman is next. Doesn't have to fight when he's next.
If Arman Tsarukyan wins in a dominant fashion and doesn't take too much damage, yeah, throw that fight out the window. And Dan Hooker has a big size advantage in this fight. He's 5 inches taller. What's the reach? Only a 2.5 inch reach. But yeah, in my opinion, Arman's been the rightful contender. You know, he had to earn his way back because of, like I mentioned, the whole debacle, which is okay because that's a big mess up. You messed up a really big card, and thankfully Moicano was on standby and able to fill in and not ruin a main event for the second time in UFC history. But yeah, I think that this is a good fight to earn his way back. And I think they're giving him a guy where, you know, it's going to be hard to finish him. Dan Hooker does not get finished too often. So I really think that, yeah, throw that fight out the window. This guy is the biggest threat to Ilia, in my opinion. And I'm not saying he's going to beat Ilia. I think he's the biggest all-around threat that Ilia would have to face. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited for this Paramount card. And I think the UFC is going to stack it too. They're going to prove to Paramount, hey, you guys didn't sign us to this huge deal for absolutely no reason. This is a prove it card for the UFC. Excuse me. I think they're going to deliver too. And in a big way. And obviously you have Ilia as the main event. So Arman doesn't take too much damage. Shoot him up to the title shot.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really fun main event, and it's going to be a really fun card. That's the full card, folks. UFC Qatar, top to bottom. I'm hyped for this one. A lot of prospects making debuts, some legends returning, a main event that is going to have real title implications. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, turn those notifications on. Early morning violence, baby. Don't miss it. We will be live on stream for a recap, probably on Sunday when I get to Dubai from Qatar. We'll let you know. I should be good for it. We'll make it work out with the time zones and everything. But if not, someone will be on. Someone will be on to talk about the absolute madness of this card. So let us know your picks in the comments, who you're backing, who you think pulls the upset, all that good stuff. Appreciate you all for watching. Much love, and we will see you guys for the recap stream.